Thank You, Santa, written by Margaret Wild, illustrated by Carrie Argent. January. Dear Santa, thank you for all the presents, especially the knitting needles and balls of wool. They are just what I need because I'm sick in bed with a cold. But I'm not bored because I'm knitting lots of squares. My mom showed me how to cast on and how to do plain and purl stitches. Tomorrow, I'm going to knit a square with different colors in it. Love, Samantha. P.S. I hope you had a good Christmas too. P.P.S. Can you knit? P.P.P.S. How are the reindeer? February. Dear Samantha, thank you for your lovely letter. Hundreds of thousands of children write to me before Christmas, but I don't hear from many of them after Christmas. I'm sorry to hear that you are not well. Our littlest reindeer is ill too. He has a runny nose and a bad cough. Mrs. Claus and I are taking turns to keep him company all night. Love, Santa. P.S. We had an excellent Christmas. A snowy owl visited us on Christmas Day. P.P.S. No, I cannot knit. My mom never taught me, and Mrs. Claus has forgotten how. Isn't that a pity? March. Dear Santa, I hope the littlest reindeer is much, much better. I've sewn the squares into a jumper for him. Perhaps it will keep his chest warm. I hope it fits. On Sunday, we went to the zoo. I couldn't see a snowy owl anywhere. I said hello to the polar bear, but he just lay there with his eyes shut. I think he's very unhappy. Dad says our weather is too hot for polar bears. When I got home, I put on 3 jumpers and my hat and scarf and gloves, and I lay in the sun for an hour. Now I know what it must feel like to be a polar bear in Australia. Love, Samantha. P.S. What do snowy owls look like? P.P.S. What other animals are there in the North Pole? P.P.P.S. Perhaps I should teach you how to knit. April. Dear Samantha, the jumper fits perfectly. Here is a special thank you from the littlest reindeer. He's quite all right now, thank goodness, but I don't think we'll let him pull the sleigh again next Christmas. He catches colds too easily. I haven't told him yet because I know he will be very disappointed. There are lots of animals here in the North Pole. Mrs. Claus and I often watch them, and she does drawings of them. One of our favorites is the Arctic fox. In winter, its long, thick fur is pure white. It has furry feet and a bushy tail that keeps it warm all night. Love, Santa. P.S. I almost forgot. Snowy owls have white and brown feathers. The baby owls are white and fluffy. P.P.S. How is your hot polar bear? P.P.P.S. I would love to learn to knit. May. Dear Santa, I loved hearing about the Arctic fox. I wish I had a bushy tail to keep me warm in the winter. I visited the polar bear again today, and he stared at me without making a sound. It's late autumn here, so he's no longer so hot, but I'm sure he's worrying about next summer. I wish there was something I could do to keep him cool. Love, Samantha. P.S. What do polar bears eat? P.P.S. The littlest reindeer's gonna feel very left out. P.P.P.S. I'm busy writing a book for you. It'll be called How to Knit. Easy peasy instructions for people who know nothing about knitting. June. Dear Samantha, Today we saw something wonderful. A polar bear taking her cubs out into the snow. They tumbled about and rolled roly-poly down the slopes. One of the cubs was very adventurous and went exploring on its own, but the other one kept close to the mother bear. Mrs. Claus did some terrific drawings of them. We pinned them up all over the house, so now we have bears everywhere. Love, Santa. P.S. Polar bears eat meat, usually seals. Sometimes a bear will wait for hours near a hole in the ice, hoping to catch a seal. P.P.S. I know you're right about the littlest reindeer. He will feel left out. But he's still not strong, and we were very worried last time when he was so ill. P.P.P.S. I'm looking forward one day to receiving your book on how to knit. July. Dear Santa, it's the middle of winter now, and I'm hoping for snow. But Mom says it hasn't snowed here in 20 years. So she helped me cut up paper into tiny pieces. Then we emptied bucketfuls of paper over our heads and had our very own snowstorm in my living room. Love, Samantha. P.S. Are there any birds in the North Pole apart from the snowy owl? Mom says in the South Pole there are emperor penguins. As soon as the mother penguin has laid the egg, she leaves it with the father penguin to look after. Because there is no nest for 2 months, the father penguin holds the egg balanced on his feet to keep it off the ice. Once the egg has hatched, the chick sits on the mother penguin's feet. August. Dear Samantha, the emperor penguin is an amazing bird, isn't it? Imagine balancing an egg on your feet for 60 days. Mrs. Claus and I tried balancing a ball on our feet, but we didn't even last 60 seconds. I'm very glad I'm not a father penguin. There are lots of birds here, puffins and terns and snow geese. The snow geese doesn't balance eggs, but it's still an incredible bird. Every September, it flies almost 5,000 miles nonstop to a warmer climate. Then in May, it flies back to the North Pole again. Love, Santa. P.S. Mrs. Claus and I are starting work on this Christmas toys. P.P.S. I still haven't told the littlest reindeer that he will have to stay home this Christmas. September. Dear Santa, I'm very glad I'm not a snow goose. All that flying sounds like hard work. I'm such a lazy bones that I don't even want Dad to carry me up the stairs. Although it's still only spring here, it's getting hot. The weather forecast said we were going to have the hottest summer ever. What will happen to the polar bear? I visited him again on Sunday. He was just lying there with his nose on his paw. Perhaps he was dreaming of snow and ice. Do you think polar bears can dream? Love, Samantha. P.S. I know you and Mrs. Claus are busy making toys, but I hope you'll still have time to write to me. P.P.S. Please, please let the littlest reindeer pull the sleigh again this Christmas. October. Dear Samantha, I told the littlest reindeer that he couldn't pull the sleigh today. I tried explaining that it's because we don't want him to catch another cold and get sick again. But he doesn't understand. He thinks I don't want him because he's not as big and strong as the other reindeer. I wish I could think of a way to keep him warm during the long journey. Love, Santa. P.S. I'll never be too busy to write to my favorite pen pal. P.P.S. I'm sure polar bears do dream, especially if they are kept in a zoo. I'm not promising anything, but I will try to make your polar bear summer a happier one. November. Dear Santa, this is a short letter, and here are some early Christmas presents. I hope Mrs. Claus likes the paint box and you like the knitting book, Wool and Needles. There's also a special present for the littlest reindeer. The scarf, woolly cap, and booties will keep him as warm as toast, especially if he wears his jumper. Love, Samantha. P.S. All I want for Christmas is for the littlest reindeer to be happy and for the polar bear's dream to come true. Merry Christmas. December. Dear Samantha, what a surprise! Thank you for the lovely presents. Mrs. Claus is delighted with the paint box, and I'm going to start knitting soon. The littlest reindeer keeps jumping for joy. He will be the snuggest, warmest reindeer ever to pull the sleigh. Love, Santa. P.S. Mrs. Claus and I hope you like the drawings of all the polar bears. Put them on your wall, and it will be as if you were with us right in the middle of the North Pole. P.P.S. Why don't you visit your polar bear on Christmas Day? We are bringing something special for him, something that will make his dream come true. A Merry, Merry Christmas to you. The end.